Actually, it's no, I'm doing it wrong. Trace. Anyway, what up, random rockers, wheelers, whatever. We'll figure that out eventually. Dune Part 2. I kind of put it in my little slot thing, my ticket. And no, I didn't get the popcorn, or else I'd use that as a prop. Popcorn bucket. The weird ass one that has the worm thing. Yeah. Should have got that. I seen it when I was at the theater, but I didn't get it. And I didn't think I had the money, really, to be fair. So that's my fault on that. It's late. It's the pajamas. But it's my channel. I wear what I want to. As long as it's not super inappropriate. And so far this ain't. And no, I don't have a bulge, so we're good. We're good. We're good. Anyway. We are talking about Dune Part 2, American epic science film fiction produced by Legendary Pictures, directed by Denis Villeneuve, which I believe I pronounced that correctly. Yeah. Sequel to Dune Part 1 in 2021. Second of the two-part adaptation of the 1965 novel Dune by Frank Herbert, or Hubert. It follows Paul Atreides as played by Timothy Chalamet as he unites with the Fremen, people of the desert planet Arrakis, to wage war against House Harkonnen. Also based with Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, and then Javier Bardem all reprise their roles. Don't believe sure. I guess maybe Charlotte Rampling, but I'm not sure about that one. Apparently, yes, they reprised their roles from the first film with Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken. The last two I cannot pronounce properly, so forgive me to those actors and actresses joining the ensemble cast. I will say I've been looking forward to this since I was supposed to see this in November, and I went to where I wish I would have said that film was going to be, but because of the actor strike, we weren't able to. But yeah, I'd say it's worth the wait. Despite what my young will tell you, it's bullshit. So, but yes, this movie is well worth the wait. I do think Tony Chalamet, everything seems stepped up, even from a more action set piece standpoint in comparison to. But the one thing that seems to remain consistent in uptaking is the way the directing and the visuals are in this movie. There is a very Dune. Clearly, I knew about Dune having been the thing that inspired George Lucas to create Star Wars, or at least what Gooey gave us the original trilogy, besides, samurai films and Western films, to be exact. So I figured I'd give, when I saw the 2021 film, I'd give that a shot. And, yeah, I did, and yeah, I feel like I needed to see this in IMAX, because I didn't get a chance to, so, to know for sure, and I wouldn't mind, because I didn't get a chance for my Burn Pit co-host to come with me, though our fellow friend Tiny, we went together, for it instead, and we just chose the local place in Farmington. That's wasn't AMC, so they had the bucket, but I didn't get the bucket, like I said. And yeah, I glad I waited to save my money to see a better film in regards to it, and this is definitely one of those. And I fear for Deadpool 3 now. I feel it would be a close. If we're lucky, we'll have that be a close second. Because this is a damn good follow-up, and yeah, even people who apparently did not like the first film apparently like this film, and maybe they wound up going back and liking that film even more. So yeah, I'll eventually get into the plot points. Lady Jessica, played by Rebecca Ferguson was pretty cool. Whom Oscar Isaac played in the last film. The husband who. And we pretty much leave off from what happened in that film, and it's more. I liked Timothée Chalamet's performance in this even more so than I think I did the last movie, which I didn't think was a problem compared to everybody else saying it. And I just found the world very fascinating, and I can't believe I forgot that Denis Villeneuve did one of my top 5 favorite films I've seen in a theater in Arrival. And it's so, like, it's funny how I just recently watched Double Toasted, and they said that this film, he does not care as much, like, it shows he doesn't care as much for dialogue. And yet, the dialogue in here is actually good. I don't understand what Corey and the rest of them are talking about. Genuinely. Because I'm kind of with Harloff on this. Yeah, I understand the wow. I was just kind of like, even the way they chose to end this was fascinating. Which I'm told was a big chunk of something that's different in the book. Happened in the book, and I feel like that was a good creative choice. That was interesting. But I'm going to get to that when we get to it in a spoiler portion of this, which we're not having yet. I feel like Javier Bardem will probably. There's no way this ain't getting an Oscar for visual effects. The Oscars will be stupid if they don't. I will say, I wish I could have got a little bit more out of Bautista, and it's more that what we get from him in this film seems seemingly a downgrade in comparison to what he was in the previous film, and it takes having gone connected to him from the previous film to make it worth dealing with, I guess. It's a shame, but honestly, Austin Butler's Sir's Fade, Ratha Harkonnen is just. I loved what Butler did with Elvis, the Baz Luhrmann Elvis, and yeah, he's definitely something else here. Pretty much just a psychopath, but he's very much very well done. Like there's so much things about this that worked in the same way that Game of Thrones does. You can tell how much how much both the influences that it brought about through not only to the Star Wars but in other things. Apparently even the Matrix up to a point, and that's more particularly in Javier Bardem's character being kind of a very Morpheus figure in that regard, or technically the other way around, given the book came out before those other films that I had mentioned. Christopher Walken as Saddam, the Emperor of the known universe and head of Husk Carino, the fourth. Chani was really great. I was definitely convinced in the love story of that. I just found something very fascinating with it, with how they handled that, and where it does go is definitely not expected, especially to people who probably read the book. But it does play a part in Atreides' life leading up to what we do get. And I love the commentary this movie basically does. Anya Taylor-Joy is an uncredited cameo as Alia Atreides, which does happen in this movie. And she may play a part possibly later in the next movie, which will probably be pretty much Dune Messiah, if depending on how well this movie part 2 does. And if it don't, you know what? Fine. I guess. I mean, I'm just happy that even the first, that we even got to see a full landscape of what Denis Villeneuve wanted to do for the first book, which was said to be unadaptable. So the fact that they were able to even adapt that, able to do that, and he says like but the thing is, the fact that the dialogue is good in here, despite what Double Toasted will tell you, and it's just, oh my god, like it's not dumbfoundedly boring compared to what I'll admit it, that even though I still have my enjoyments of it because I've lived through the 2000s superhero stuff, I've seen X-Men Origins Wolverine and all that, and so far, even despite the somewhat moments of the hammering a message, still the film print products the MCU has put out, for instance, Phase 4, has not, well, aside from Spider-Man No Way Home and Wakanda Forever, in my opinion, because that's a different story because of circumstances. Everything else I understand being considered kind of, unfortunately, dealing with whatever woke writers seem to have seeped their way into Disney. But maybe, I guess that kind of agenda, that kind of more putting the message out, that message out there kind of thing, which is not what we wanted. With that, and I'm glad we got a good film like this that's good sci-fi, that we needed. And I knew there was no way that he wouldn't, especially after the fact of how well he handled Blade Runner 2049, and my favorite film involving aliens and essentially slightly spoiler alert, time travel, was done really well. And I enjoyed this movie just as much. Just maybe just as much, not as more the first, but I can't say for sure because I need to probably revisit part 1. But yes, Javier Stilgar is just, he adds some levity to this and adds a sense of humor to a very, very serious and sometimes dark type of a movie, despite the lighting visuals that Arkanen, I believe is the name of this planet. Let me double check. Arrakis is from. This plot. All right, so I've overall, and I did of course enjoy. And there's some flaws in it, but nothing in a way that makes me hate the movie overall, because I feel like there was something to this, like this. They planted the seeds pretty well for Doom in part 1 to lead into what we did get out of part 2 up to a point. I understand it's seeming flawed in the sense, but I guess that's just how the book was written, that eventually they, through Atreides and them and the Fremen finding their way to come back and through all this stuff and leading to what was the basic retaliation from what happened from the Harkonnen, is what it kind of essentially is. Not really, I don't really call that a spoiler. I think that's kind of necessarily, or at least that kind of gives you the idea already early on from where they start off with in this movie, from leaving off from part 1. And it was just visually, of course, it's visually stunning. Once again, even the Dune worms are just, the sandworms are just done supremely well. And overall, I like this movie a lot. I feel like I should get into spoilers and talk about the plot summary and all this stuff in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. Princess Erlon Corino secretly journals that Paul Atreides may still live while her father, Emperor Saddam IV, is disrupt the fall of House Atreides en route to Jiktabar. I probably butchered that. On Arrakis, Stilgar's Fremen troops, including Paul and Lady Jessica, overcome a Huracan ambush, reaching the heat. Some Fremen suspect Jessica and Paul are spies, though others, such as Stilgar, see signs of the prophecy that a mother and son from the other world will bring prosperity to Arrakis. Stilgar informs Jessica that their reverend mother is, and that Jessica must be her replacement by drinking the water of life. Fatal for males and the untrained. Jessica transmutes poison and thus survives and inherits the memories of every female ancestor in the lineage. The water also surely awakens the mind of her unborn daughter, Aaliyah, allowing Jessica to communicate with her. They agree that northern Arrakis must be convinced first. Most of the prophecy. Chani and her French Shishakli, I can't remember if that was her name, believe the prophecy is false and designed to control the Fremen, but when Paul makes a speech about not seeking power and wanting only to fight alongside them, Chani develops respect for him. Paul embraces Fremen ways and learns their language, taking part in the rites such as riding a sandworm, which was one of the best, which they did show in the trailers. It was one of the best, one of the greatest scenes to see in visually, and everything feels very lived in this movie, becoming a Fredican fighter and assisting in raids on Harkonnen spice harvesters. Paul forms a romantic relationship with Chani and takes on the Fremen names Usul and Muad'Dib. Due to the spice raids, Baron Harkonnen replaces his nephew Vanessa with his young nephew Fade Rava. Which that whole scene was like his performance in that whole scene was great. Lady Margot, Fredrin Ben Gesserit, is sent to seduce Fade and secure his genes, provide to be susceptible to control rather than Paul, whose bloodline may be unsalvageable. Jessica travels south to unite with more fundamentalist Fremen. Paul fears his visions of a holy war will manifest if he also goes south as Messiah. He stays in the north and reunites with Gurney Halleck, played by Josh Brolin, who leads Paul to House Atreides' hidden atomic stockpile. Fate attacks and kills survivors, including Paul, to journey south. Upon arriving, Paul drinks the water of life and fails. Sent to a deep coma, Chani awakens him by mixing her tears with the water across his lips. Prescience and knowledge of the past, seeing a vision of an adult Aaliyah on a water-filled beach, and realizing that the Baron and the big twist in this movie, realizes that the Baron is his maternal grandfather. Dun dun dun. Anyway, the Southern Fremen leaders urge Paul to Stilgar from leadership, but he refuses and instead proves himself by reciting the thoughts of two Fremen spectators. He declares himself as Zan al-Gaib and sends a letter challenging Shaddam, who then arrives on Arrakis with Ruan Mohim and his Sir Dakar troops. Paul's Fremen attack using atomics and sandworms. This powered while Paul kills the Baron and takes Shaddam, his entourage, captives. So fleeing Rabban and kills him. Which was nice revenge, and it was a nice little thing, which I thought was a nice, sweet taste of revenge in that regard, just as well as Paul. As Paul challenges Saddam for the throne, the great houses arrive in orbit. Paul threatens to destroy it. So they intervene. Paul challenges Saddam to a duel. Who's as his champion. He kills Paul before Paul fatally stabs him, imploring Paul to spare her father's life. First herself as Paul's bride. Though Paul accepts this, he tells Johnny he will always. Before this happens, and before he does this, he tells Johnny he loves her. So, and then goes and does that all of a sudden, which just like and kneels and kisses Paul's signet ring. Though above Arrakis, the great houses refuse to accept Paul's ascendancy. His Fremen to attack the orbiting fleet as Stilgard leads the Fremen onto her ships. Jessica and Leah reflect that this is the beginning of the holy war, while the heartbroken Chani, refusing to bow to Paul, departs on a sandworm. Which is the part that a lot of people say was different. She actually stayed in the books, apparently. But in this one, Chani doesn't. But in all honesty, which is kind of ironic, which is even more effed up, given that there is a moment where he says beforehand that she'll come around, which I'm guessing was part of the book's plan, and then they just said, screw it, forget that, and just did this, which I think worked a little better and kind of added an extra layer to Chani as a character, I think. Then whatever this is supposed to lead eventually into Messiah, which there's a don't know what they're going to do to lead into that, if there is one. Will they, since they already showed Anya Taylor-Joy as the sister, will they try to flash forward to that so we can see an older sister? Because I don't know if we're actually going to see the Holy War. We'll probably just hear spurts about it and we're just going to get basically the fallout from it, basically, instead. From what I heard, the books does with Messiah, so we shall see. We shall see. But overall, like I said, I enjoyed this. Horns up, possible masterclass, actually. If I didn't already say that before, and I apologize for those and didn't get a chance to see the review. So, yeah, this is a long one, but I think I did a long one too for the other one, and yeah, I enjoyed this movie very much. To my friends in the chat that loved him, Dune, Zachbot, you know who you are. Amongst anyone else in the multiverse. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. This will be by the time you see me post this link. That is to you friends there. This is that. Also to my friend. Hopefully he doesn't finish seeing this until he sees the movie. But if you did for some reason and got spoiled, know full well that it's worth it. If you did like what you liked in the first movie, you will and already invested. Your investment will not be well wasted at all. It will be well spent. And now officially for me this year, the movie season has actually started, because we didn't really get much of anything, honestly, this past couple of months, worthwhile for me to even spend money on. But there's a couple of movies I want to see, but I need to see some other movies before I see those. Like if it's the Ghostbusters one, I'm actually kind of interested in, but I need to see Afterlife because I didn't get a chance to see that in theaters. I think that had something to do also with the pandemic or something. And then I definitely need to see the previous Godzilla vs. Kong somehow, so I can see this new one, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if this newer one's going to be any good, comparatively speaking, to that one, given that one involved essentially Mechagodzilla from what I'm told. So spoilers to like a 2 to 3 year movie. Ooh, I guess. So, feel like sorry for that. And it's goat milks. Anyway, if you like this video, rock that like button with thrust if you must. Thrust if you must. Hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to see all my videos. And as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking, and I'll see you in the next video, which I believe will be my February catch-up because there wasn't much of anything music-wise that I found worthwhile this week, unfortunately. And I tried looking up some things, but I don't. If it was, I'm probably going to talk about it later. For the catch-up in the month of March. Anyways, until then, take care, y'all. And long live the fighters. Anyway.